Professor Horror is back again with you. And I've done some research that you will find stupendous. I have some wonderful, wonderful news for you. Provided you do not find this happening to yourself. The news is, my research has uncovered that not only are ghosts of humans, but there are ghosts of animals, dogs, cats, ghosts of horses, spirits of wild beasts. Now I got your attention, haven't I? You want to know more about ghostly dogs? Pay attention. I will tell you where these have been found and seen, and you will believe it, believe it, believe it. Some animals, some dogs, may not be ghosts themselves, but they can sense the presence of ghosts and react by standing still and staring. They see what even the human eye fails to see. Here are some stories for you about ghostly beasts. Many, many stories of ghostly dogs have been found to occur in the Delaware Valley in America. In one case, there was a supernatural being causing a wave of terror in Britain during the cold winds that were blowing through most parts of Europe in February of 1855. In England, daily life was completely disrupted due to the extreme cold. In Devon, in the southwest of England, at least 2-inch thick layer of snow covered everything, and even the famous river Aki was completely frozen. Of course, people would stay at home. No one would go outdoors. One morning there was something they found inexplicable in the entire province of Devon. In an area of 100 miles, they found marks of hooves of some animal on fields and gardens, of course, but also on walls of farmhouses and their roofs. These footprints were 4 inches long and 2.5 inches broad. Big ones. Whose hooves could they be? And all the footprints were in a straight line. This is in 1855 in Devonshire. The distance between the two footprints was 8 inches. It appeared that some two-legged being had traversed the whole area in a very planned manner, moving straight ahead. Whatever it was, it had taken care to see that the next step remained confined to the footmark made by the last step. The footpath started from the garden of a church called the Totnes Church there, and suddenly ended in the fields of Littleham. These footmarks were found at both ends of a pipe in the adjoining village called Meldurban. This research that I found tells of, despite the huge bulk of this ghostly animal with such big hooves, this animal could pass through anything with ease. The breadth of the pipe was only 6 inches. People wonder how any man with such a large footprint could pass through that narrow pipe of just 6 inches diameter. Are you listening to this? Isn't it unbelievable? Can you believe it? But the footmarks were found on the frozen snow in front of Woodbury Church. Such marks on the solid ice can be made only if red-hot iron is pressed into that spot with force to leave its imprint. But no animal or human could do such a thing over such a vast area in one night. Overnight in the morning, those footprints were seen all over that neighboring village of Dalish. These footprints passed through bushes. So you can imagine all the villages in that area at that time were thunderstruck. They were scared. They were wondering, what is this ghostly animal that could not be seen? There was terror spread around Devon and its adjoining villages. for quite a long time. And of course, they tried to find out. They brought sniffer dogs into service. Those dogs started barking wildly as soon as they sniffed the place. But no single dog moved forward. From that point on, in spite of every effort made to push them forward, they were not willing to face this ghostly animal, this very strange animal that could go through thin pipes despite having such large hooves. Obviously, something very ghostly happening there, but this time not with human beings, but animals. Watch out! It could be the next ghostly dog, you see, or a cat, or a hoof, or something with large hooves but unable to be seen. It's believed in England that there's a ghostly dog called Mouthy, and it lives on Mon Island. Mouthy is generally sighted in Peel Palace there. Sentries in the palace avoid patrolling it all alone. They always go around in twos. One sentry became unconscious after seeing the dog. Another sentry, Brainweed, died of shock after seeing this ghostly dog. Oh, this ghostly dog called Mouthy. Boy, it must have been really horrendous looking. Hundreds of people have seen another ghostly dog in the marshy area of East Anglia. This dog, they say, has only one big yellow-orange eye like a cyclops placed in the center of its forehead. An American Air Force high-ranking officer and his wife saw that ghostly dog in 1945 in the Walberswicks and Dunwich area. It was the month of March. The ground was damp. There were rains that had fallen a little earlier. They were sleeping one night and they found some sounds from the ground that awakened them. They saw that huge dog, which on first sight seemed to be like a big black donkey, and it was scratching at the walls outside on its claws. After some time, it started chewing the door of the ground floor with its large jaws. That American couple was so frightened that they stacked their entire furniture against the door so that it couldn't get in. They were shocked at the sight of that ghostly animal, and they wanted to prevent it anyhow from entering the house, knowing that it would finish them off. And they went upstairs after making these arrangements near the door downstairs. When they reached the first floor, the entire house started shaking as if hit by an earthquake. Shaking and shaking, they came out and looked through the window to see what was happening. They saw that the huge dog came running from the distance and then hit the house with its shoulders with such a force that it shook like an earthquake. It hit all the walls, one after the other, with great force, attacking the house. Oh my goodness, that ghostly dog was something to behold, according to them. After several such attacks, it tried to jump up, leaping towards the roof of the house. The couple sat there huddling together, frightened out of their wits as you would be if you were sitting there. And in the morning, they looked out, but there was no mark of any damage to the house anywhere. There was no mark on the door that the dog had been chewing all night. And there was no mark on the walls which it collided with such force. There were no dents to be seen. No mark at the place up to which the dog ran and turned back. Nothing on the ground there. After all, there should have been some footprints. This American Air Force officer and his wife could not believe that there was no sign of that dog having been out there. Oh, what to make of that? Ghostly dogs? A pack of ghostly dogs has been sighted for hundreds of years in the West Dartmoor area of England. You read that Sherlock Holmes story, The Hound of the Baskervilles, coming through the moors and through the boggy swamps? That Western Dartmoor area is something like that. It makes you feel like you're in a Sherlock Holmes frightening mystery of some dog there, but the barking could be heard for miles and miles around. Of course, the matter was investigated by the police, but it could never be ascertained from where these sounds came or who made them. Do you know? Strange things happen in supernatural matters that are not only of ghosts and spirits of humans. It's very commonplace to see headless horses with these ghosts. There are many such stories that are circulating in different countries, in China, in India, in Pakistan, in the Middle East. People will swear they have seen such phenomena of headless horses. And what to make of a ghostly cat? The cat called the Nabashima cat, seen at Nabashima in Japan. And many activities of ghostly cats are to be told in Ireland. There's a place called Killarney House near the Bay of Dublin in Ireland. A large black cat has been observed there hundreds of times between 1968 and 1970. This cat created a lot of mischief. Even today, this cat suddenly appears at many places and frightens the wits out of people who suddenly look and see this cat. The activities of this cat started after Mrs. Margaret O'Brien purchased Killarney Building for opening an Irish art centre for the elite of Ireland to come and see artworks. When the building was being renovated, the ghostly cat was seen for the first time. Stories regarding its existence were there for the last 50 years. But when Mrs. O'Brien started to make it an art gallery, the famous painter, Tom Macassey, he and two workers were trying to put up frames and paintings. One night, they fixed a 6-inch screw in the door after closing it. After some time, that screw went missing, and the door opened of its own accord. Macassey came out in the gallery with his two workers to see what had happened. It was totally dark, nothing to be seen, but then they saw a big black shadow. The shadow thing was in one corner, with its tail up, like a cat's tail would be when it's ready to pounce, when it's aggravated, when it's angry, when it's frightened maybe. They thought someone was playing a practical joke, so he shouted loudly, "This is Tom Macassey, the painter here. Whoever it is, come out. We've spotted you." Would you believe someone replied in a very gruff voice, "You can never see me. Keep the door open. I want the door open. Otherwise I know a way to get out. But I want the door open." Oh, goodness. They heard this voice very clearly, and those laborers, they ran away. They fled the scene not to come back. Macassey closed the door and ran away too. The door opened behind him of its own accord, and when he looked back, a black cat, bigger than a large dog, came into the main hall, looked at him, and then suddenly disappeared from his sight. At one time, the pole vault champion of Ireland was Val McGann. The pole vault champion of Ireland, Val McGann, saw this same ghostly cat on many occasions. At one time he had a pistol and fired upon it, but the firing had no visible effect on the Killarney Building cat. One more ghostly animal I want to share with you. Oh, this research is fascinating. I was thunderstruck when I learned that a ghost can be in a bullock, or a bullock can be a ghost. But there was a ghostly bullock sighted for quite a long time in the La Grande Belt in France. Sorry, it's the La Grande Bête, the big beast. The villagers in that area do not dare go out, even now on a full moon night. It's believed that area is very dangerous for anyone to come across. The hundreds of ghostly dogs that accompanied the Lady Diana in the Brento area 300 years before. Of course, the Lady Diana is known as the goddess of the hunters and extremely beautiful, and she and her dogs in Britain and Germany Many painters have tried to portray her beauty, and you will see in many of them that she has one of or two of her dogs in those paintings. Ghostly dogs, ghostly cats, even ghostly bullocks. You're walking down the road some day on a dark, quiet night, and you see a dog approaching. Or you are passing somebody's house, and a cat comes out and goes around the house to the back. Is that a ghostly dog? Could it be a ghostly cat? I will leave you with that until you come back to hear Professor Horror in the next episode. I will say auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, adios, ciao, ciao for now.